Good morning and welcome to my office. Well, I'm at work, but I've got a little bit of downtime. So I want to address something I've been asked a few times. People that want to get into the outdoors lifestyle, shall I say, do a bit of woodland, bit of exploring. What's the basic kit they need? And it's pretty simple really, or at least this is my take on it. 5 items. The first, a knife of some sort, multiple uses. You don't need to spend a fortune when you're starting out, you really don't. Something like a Mora, about £10, very reliable, very good knife. This is that sort of style. I would say if you're going to go as far as, splitting wood for a fire, you need something a bit bigger, something a bit more substantial, preferably with a full tang. For people that don't know what that means, essentially the metal of the blade goes full length right to there, and you'll see that the handle is made of like 2 parts either side. You can see the metal all the way through. This style knife, very much like the Moras, the tang only comes to about here, the metal of the blade. It's strong enough for the tasks you're going to do with a knife of that size. One of my favourite knives is a £4.99 knife off Wish. You don't have to spend a fortune. Fire steel, worth having for a source of ignition. If you haven't got a lighter or something like that, it works all the time, any weather conditions, fun to play with, fun to practice with. Cheapy Chinese ones, 2 or 3 quid off eBay, work fine. The bigger ones, more expensive ones are easier. The little ones, they will work. The next item, I can't find mine, it's in amongst my stuff, but a folding saw. If you want to use a twig stove or have a small fire, a folding saw makes life an awful lot easier. The popular one, the one that I have, is a Lacklander. There is other versions out there, other companies, but the Lacklander is good and reliable. Folds down to this sort of size. You're okay really cutting wood up to this sort of size. It will do larger stuff, but it's hard work. If you want to do bigger stuff for a bigger fire, you need a bow saw, really. But a Lacklander will get you going. Again, not expensive. I think they're around sort of £20, something like that. Well worth it though, well worth it. Next item, a tarp of some description. Whether that be just for sitting on, if the ground's a bit damp, or if it's a rain event. A cheap tarp, keep you dry. You can practice setups, you can do all sorts of things with them. They're a handy thing to have. Small, fairly light, easy to carry. My oldest one is this one, a cheap plasticky one from a discount shop. I think it cost me 2 or 3 quid. I've had it donkey's years. I can do a setup with this. I can get out the rain with this. But obviously I've upgraded at some point to more proper tarps, shall we say, DD, Solinac, that sort of thing. I still take this every trip because it's now my ground sheet. So it wasn't money wasted. It's still useful. It still serves a purpose. For a few quid, it's worth having. And as I say, if you're just out for a day's walk and this is all you've got, it will keep the rain off. Worth having. Next thing, simple brew kit. Because who doesn't like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the woods? This is my little TBS one. I've got the pot, the bottom section here, which you can use as a twig stove, or as I tend to use it, I have it upside down over my alcohol stove as a windshield, and of course a nice platform to stand that on. I've also got an ordinary stainless steel round pot, cheapy eBay type job. It's about twice the diameter of this, same sort of height, cost me about a tenner. It's big enough I can cook in. You can reheat, ration pack type stuff in it. You can just boil water in it. Stainless steel pot, not expensive, very versatile, very useful. a safety thing, a first aid kit. Not quite what you might imagine, but obviously if you're out using knives and things like that, accidents can happen. So it's worth having a basic kit of some description. Plasters, well, yep, plasters are okay. We all know they don't stick very well. So I've got a little roll of micropore tape in there, just to go over the top, keeps them in place. What else have I got in there? Let's have a think. I've got a larger pad for doing larger wounds, where of course you can cut to size for whatever you've done. Again, affixed with the micropore tape. Anything bigger than that, you need to bugger off home and get some help, quite simply. We're not all trauma surgeons. There's no point in taking a first aid kit this big unless you've really got the skills to use it properly. Yeah, just keep the basics to get you past little injuries. Any more than that, take it seriously. You don't want to be in the middle of nowhere with a bad injury. Other basic things that I've got in here that you wouldn't necessarily expect. I've got some hay fever tablets, just cheap ones out of the supermarket. Antihistamine, if you get bitten by bugs and all that sort of thing, it doesn't cure it, but it stops your body reacting so much. You don't get itching as much from bites and that sort of thing. Worth carrying, you know, a hay fever tablet, antihistamine type tablets. The cheap ones work fine, don't need a branded. I've got ordinary painkillers in there, paracetamol, cocodamol, that sort of thing. And I've also got some antiacid tablets in there, Gaviscon type things. Worth having. Very rarely need them, but there's nothing worse than trying to get yourself comfortable, especially if you're staying overnight, laying down in your sleeping bag and you've got indigestion, you've got heartburn. It's bloody horrible. Couple of tablets, job sorted. Always carry them. So yeah, real basic first aid, but worth having. Like I say, anything more serious than a cut that the plasters do, you need to get out of there really, get some help. Makes sense. Also on the safety front, I always carry my gloves. Anytime I'm using a knife, or even if I'm just like hauling wood out of a load of brambles or whatever, bit of protection. There's nothing more annoying than thorns and whatever stuck in your finger. They can be terrible. It's just worth having. They're dirt cheap. This pair of leather riggers, I got them from one of the hardware type places, Screwfix or something like that. A few quid. Always worth having. Also with the brew kit, you know, handles can get hot, lids can get hot. Stick a glove on. Burns, they're just bloody annoying. Even really minor burns, they're just going to ruin your day. Take a pair of gloves. And the last thing, which is not something I can show you, is time. Give yourself some time. Don't rush it. It's about relaxing. If you rush, you won't enjoy it. If you rush, that's when accidents more likely happen. Use it as a chill out. Really, really take your time. And also with this basic kit, if you wanted to go really lightweight in the summer, all you'd need to add to this is a sleep pad and a sleeping bag. And you could rough it on a warm summer's night, no problem at all. It doesn't have to cost you a fortune. I know a lot of people say, you know, buy cheap and you buy twice and this sort of thing. Okay, that's fine, but that depends on your disposable income. There's no point in you spending 500 quid on kit, doing a couple of weekend trips or whatever, and hate it, and then you start with a load of kit. Try it a few times. If you are enjoying yourself, you can always upgrade to your price point. That's the thing. I've got a lot of kit on lots of price ranges. I will say my mid-range kit is probably equally as good as my expensive kit. You're paying for label in a lot of cases. So I tend to use a lot of sort of military surplus type gear. It's strong, it's reliable, doesn't cost a fortune. Just my view. Okay guys, thanks for watching.